Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Legends and Lore Show. This is episode 4, and I'm Anna Meyer, and with me is,
I'm Mike Bridges.
yep,
Uh,
a- and now we got stuck.
uh,
No, it's okay. This is the Halloween episode, and we were supposed to. I was supposed to change all the things so they would look creepy and stuff,
mhm.
like the advertising picture. But frankly, I didn't have time to do it. It took me an hour or an hour and a half to do that kind of video or that kind of thing. So to do all the backgrounds and stuff was a little bit too much. So we have to have the regular background. I'm a bit sorry for that, but I think it's time to check in what Mike has been doing up to this week because he's the main topic.
Well, because it's Halloween time, I've revisited one of my old topics on my blog, greyhawkery.blogspot.com. Um, I did an article a few years back called 10 Spooky Greyhawk Locations. A lot of them I think you'll have heard of. We'll run down some of them,
Hmm.
see what you think. I'm sure you've heard most of them, but anyhow, after we run through some of them tonight, then I will post on my blog some new locations that I've wrote up and for your reading enjoyment.
Cool. Yep. So we'll see. I'll try and keep the map ready here as we go around and see if we can
and
visit. If
Hannah
I
will
know
try to
where they
keep
are
up.
because I don't know this list. So just so the
Okay.
viewers know this is new to me too. So I
Well, I'll just
yeah.
jump around.
Cool. Yep. So are they
uh,
in order of least spooky to most spooky
no, I
or
have
okay.
no criteria here
Uh-huh.
except that I threw out the Tomb of Horrors
Okay.
on principle
Yeah.
because everyone knows the Tomb of Horrors.
Yeah, it's even beyond the borders of the Flannies nowadays. So yeah.
Yeah.
And if you wonder, that's my sidekick Minnie. She's been a complete pain in the butt up until we started it, but now she's doing fine. So this is her bedtime. So yeah.
Good dog.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. So yeah, we'll dive right into it. Spooky
Yeah.
locations. Reason I started doing this was Greyhawk is known for its evil content. It's like evils everywhere, pervading evil, and so when you take out things like IUs and Scarlet Brotherhood or whatever, there's still so many evil places to go to. Uh, the first and most obvious one I'll just throw out, just get out of the way, is the Temple of Elemental Evil. Everyone knows the backstory on that. Big fortress of evil, good defeats evil, good traps evil, and within the walls puts up wards, buried treasure, uh, maybe some demons below. So that's why it's so iconic. That's why everyone plays that thing. As to scary, what's scary about it is that much like a lot of old school adventures, it's not necessarily got a normal level progression. I'm not talking about all the in town stuff. I'm talking about like the dungeon crawl itself.
Hmm.
You don't
Yeah.
know what you're going to run into. One minute you might be fighting skeletons, next minute it's a demon as a
Yeah, and it's presented as one of these iconic spooky locations, an old decrepit temple
yeah.
that is full of so it radiates kind of spookiness and
The
scariness. Yeah.
artwork
Yep.
really presents that the
Yep.
iron gates with
Hmm.
the
Yep.
gargoyles and
Yep.
the yeah. So like I said, that's an easy one. Next to the Tomb of Horrors, it's probably the most well known.
Yep.
Um, one of my personal favorite place, and which is just as spooky, if not spookier, I think, than the Temple of Elemental Evil, is Mar Castle.
Ooh. Yeah.
Now, this is,
Not too
of
far away
course,
here. So here we have. Yep.
in the Duchy of Ernst.
Yep.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I hope you can see this little red little rectangle up here. That shows where this map is located. So so you can see a little bit where it, and it's here. I put it here. So it's a castle ruined, or
Right.
depending on the age, what age. My map is after the, so it's kind of ruined and become that. And then you have the Delagos Caverns that I don't know much about, more than they are mentioned, but I'm sorry. So
Could
yeah.
be a could be a spooky location on all its own. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not really familiar with it. But Mar Castle is much like your Greyhawk Castle. It's a wizard family and their buried secrets, and it's got a lot of dangers, old school dangers. Robert Kuntz wrote this one, and much like the Temple of Elemental Evil, you can walk in there and just immediately get floored by some high level, monster, and it's just so random that I always found that one spooky. Not to mention that one of the main villains of the adventure is Eli Tomarast, who has demon
Ooh, yeah.
hands
Hmm.
grafted onto his arms.
Hmm.
Just a lot of real. There's something about a demon that he has summoned in the lowest parts to guard all the some of the treasures. It's if ran right, it can be really spooky.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then Paizo updated this one in
Yeah, that's
Dungeon
true. They had one. Yeah. Hmm.
112.
Yep.
They did a 3.5 edition
Yep.
update of it.
With some nice art and some nice
Oh yeah,
maps and really cool stuff with it. Yep.
yeah. The artwork and that's amazing. I still reference that to this day.
Hmm.
It's quite deadly. I never even finished running it. It's so
It's a
deadly.
fairly large dungeon, if I remember correctly, in that
They
dungeon, or at least they increased it
kept
and made
adding
it
on
bigger.
to it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, those were the two what I call mega dungeon
Hmm.
crawls.
Yeah.
Neither of those you could do in a night,
Yeah,
unlike
and they also prepared adventures that you can actually get and get all the art and stat blocks and the whole
those are
shebang.
all easily accessible.
Yeah.
Now, some of these others you're going to do work for. Now we're really getting into the nitty gritty.
Hmm.
I'll say.
Yeah.
Uh, let's start off with the crypt of Holmadar. Who
Okay.
knows who Holmadar is?
I've heard the name somewhere, but now you lost me. I can't immediately. Let's see. Hang on a second here.
I
No,
don't know
that's
what the deal with
Haradra.
the
So
openable doors is, Bayvex.
yeah, so you have to tell me where we should go in the world here.
Okay, Holmadar is cryptid, I believe, is in the Kron Hills.
Ooh, okay.
Okay,
we
not
still in
too far
the
away.
yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it might be something I need to add on the map here, because this is
Oh, you don't have it?
I'm not so sure. Well, because I
You better have it. If
no,
you don't,
I
you
don't
have
think so.
it
So
yourself.
this is perfect. It's another one to add to the list. This is awesome.
Okay.
Yep.
Halmadar is this old warlord who was the last known person to have the eye and hand
Cron
of
Hill.
Vecna.
Sorry. Yep. Do, do, do. No, I don't think I have it. So
Halmadar's crypt is who Mordenkainen sends a circle of eight to investigate and sets off the whole adventure of Vecna Lives. I don't know if there's an exact placement for it. It's you'll have to look at the module yourself to be certain, but I'm pretty sure it's the Cron Hills.
I.
Anyhow,
Mhm.
there's not much to it in of itself. I mean, if you want to run Halmadar's crypt like post Vecna Lives, then a game master could pretty much add whatever they like to it. And like the Circle of Eight come in there, and as the module's written, they don't have time to search it or anything. It's just like boom, boom, done. So you could do something post Vecna Lives, or if you do pre Vecna Lives, you could have lesser adventurers kind of poking around in there,
Yeah.
and then it could be like your own Tomb of Horrors, essentially.
And the location is cool because it's not too far from good lands and base of
Yeah,
operations. You don't have to
yeah.
travel 500 or
It's
a
right there
thousand
under the
miles.
gnomes' noses.
Exactly. Yep. So this is cool. Now we find one new location to put on the map every episode roughly. So that's perfect. So this is great.
And this is true. The Greyhawk Channel did cover Vecna Lives. Now, I don't know if they used Homidar's Crypt or not. I suspect that they did. Yep, Lindy, she's amazing. Uh, I'd be really keen to see what twist she put on it.
Yeah.
Um, oh, community project. Good one, Bavix.
Yeah.
Let's see, dancing around here. Let's go with the Caves of Deadly Shadows.
Well,
Have you ever heard of that one?
no,
Yeah.
that's a new one. So,
No?
oh, awesome. So where should we head
This
off now?
Okay, this one's in the From the Ashes box set.
Okay.
And there's my phone going off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good. I haven't silenced my phone, so I probably need to do that. That's a good point you made. There's a long
Okay.
checklist when you do this, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm.
The caves of deadly shadows are in the Yatil Mountains, Anna.
Oh, okay. Yatils. We have to go up to the.
Specifically, if you want to know,
Yeah.
hex R5 81.
Okay. So we need to put that in the show notes or something like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
So far I've found two that you don't have. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Oh, that's this is great. So
All right.
Caves of Deadly Shadows.
The caves of deadly shadows. Um,
It has one of these terrible names where if I search for this in the database of stuff, I will get 4,000 hits, meaning it's
Reborn.
impossible to find because it doesn't have a unique name. So that's why it makes difficult.
Yes, Vecna has reared his ugly face again on the Greyhawk Channel with on the show, like he's saying. Hopefully they can take him out, but
Yep.
I don't like their chances.
Yep.
Okay, so Nebbiolo says the caves are on the map.
Oh, they are on the map. Okay.
I
Good.
On Anna's maps, I guess.
We'll see. That might
Yep.
be on some other map, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
I don't know. You'd have to get in closer to see.
Left of the A in Yatils. Okay.
Hmm. Good eye, man.
Oh, that.
Anyhow, this is a place, besides your usual environmental dangers, we're talking about, as the name suggests, undead shadows. But that's the obvious threat. There's more to it. Um, all manner of shadowy themed creatures can be found here. Shadow dragons, which I know Anna likes.
Oh yes. Oh, now I need to go there.
Uh-huh.
Definitely.
Skulks.
Ooh. Is that a
Um,
Greyhawk specific or is that a generic thing?
I think it might be Munch Manual 2. I don't know if it's
Ah,
correct
okay. So yeah,
specific.
so it's one of the. Oh, cool. Yep.
One of them, like 1E, 2E
Yeah.
monsters. Nabasu,
Ooh.
kind of a
Oh,
shadowy
yeah.
demon.
Demon-like. Ooh, I love my Nabasus. They're awesome. Yep.
So yeah, just imagine designing an adventure where it's just a series of caves, a cave spelunking adventure, and
Yeah.
just throw in every kind of shadow you
Yeah,
want.
and you have enormous mountains, so you can go vertical, up and down, and sideways, and you have a lot of 3D space to work in, so to speak. And so, yeah.
Guntaka asks, what is the one with the corrupted artifact and a shadow dragon? I can't really recall. The only one shadow dragon I can recall is the one in Five Shall Be One that guards one of the five swords of Korusk. Don't know.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
get that in the
one of you.
box.
I've used them a couple of times simply because I like them so much. Yeah.
And Bavix asks if the Caves of Deadly Shadows is connected with Forgotten Temple of Tharizdun. I don't know. How close is the Forgotten Temple?
Oh, that I think it's way south, if I remember
Is
correctly.
it?
Yeah, it's
Because the
way
Forgotten
here.
Temple
So it's like a
is on
thou.
my list.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's like 1,000 miles down here. So
Okay,
yeah.
so not connected,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
easily
exactly. Well,
connected.
technically they can't. It's a possibility, but you have to. We have to go here. I'm zooming out a bit here, so we have.
Yeah, I'll just throw out, Forgotten Temple of Thurston. If you don't own it, get it. It's
Yeah,
a Cthulhuian horror type module.
yeah,
Um, you could probably run it on night easy.
yeah. It's
Play it with the lights low.
yeah. If I switch maps so I get the one that I can do notes on, I'm just gonna do this, and then we can move up here. And now I'm
Huh.
going to see if I can. So, I'm sorry, interrupt you with some.
No, I'm taking a breath here.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where
So
is Mordenkainen's house located in Yatills? I've never
hang on
tried
a
to
second.
place
We'll
it.
see if we can do it. Here up the
No, I was
caves are up
asking him.
here, and
Okay.
Thuristun's temple is down here. I placed it, so it's roughly like a
Okay.
1,000 miles or so in between. So
Yeah,
it's
it's too
quite a
far. Makes
yeah,
sense.
it's quite a distance. Yep. And let's see if we have more than. Let's see here.
Well, how you doing, Peace Measure? Long time no see, buddy.
Wow! Awesome! Welcome.
Smedger runs the Greyhawk fan site Cannon Fire.
Yep.
Check it out, everyone. It's the largest repository of Greyhawk knowledge and fan written material
Yep,
you will
it's
ever
been
find.
it's was a lifesaver in the early days of the internet, and it's been there since the early days, and it's yeah, it's fantastic. Yep,
Glad to have you here, buddy.
yep, definitely welcome.
I'm going since you're just getting on, I'm going over
Yep.
some spooky locations in the world of Greyhawk.
So yeah, we had the caves of deadly shadows, and then is the next one the Temple of Thoristun?
Yeah, and you said it's 1,000 miles apart.
Yeah, I
That just goes to show how big those mountains are.
yeah, it's they are roughly Himalayans, and they, according to some speculations I read somewhere, are the tallest mountains in the Flying East. So they are at
Hmm.
least as tall as the Himalayas. I put them on my mapping. There's no theoretical limit, but I put a practical limit at 10 kilometers because it's the software. So they're up in the really tall regions, and some of the highest peaks are definitely up in the 30,000 feet range. So they're tall. Yeah.
Yes, there are. Smedger's right. There's fewer non-spooky locations, and Machen Sage is completely right.
Yep.
He's covering all the iconic uh, locations here. So Temple
hmm
Thrisden, check mark. I'm gonna have to dig deeper into my repertoire to surprise you guys. Apparently,
Yep.
hi, Opera Geek. Glad to have you here.
Oh, welcome.
Let's see. So, what should I throw out next? How about this is one I know me and Ann have talked about recently. Gibbering Gate
Oh, yes, that's one of my favorite locations that
in the
I've kind of
Barrens.
yeah established. So
Yeah.
so now we need to go way up in the central cold bitter north, or the
Empire Bayous.
northern reaches up in the empire of Ayus here. So on the
Yep.
plains up the kind of the boring plains up here is a little place here.
If you want to scare your players, take notes, Shane. Send them to Gibbering Gate
hmm
for a night.
I zoom in
It's
here.
IUS's maximum security prison.
Yes.
Yeah, Firebird, it's a huge map, and Anna has detailed it down to the last leaf on a tree.
I put the link. I'm going to put the link in the chat here to
Okay.
GH maps.
Well, Gibbering Gate, anyhow, is like a IUS's maximum security prison slash insane asylum. It's in the book. I use the evil, which is the absolute best accessory you can buy for the World of Greyhawk.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It
fantastic.
is cover to cover all spooky locations, basically.
And spooky
Uh,
items, spooky
yeah,
spells, spooky lots of things. Yep.
so it's full of uh, just really creepy stuff, and it's ran by an illusionist named Jumper. high level illusionist. So just imagine the kind of tricks you can play on players with that.
Hmm.
Uh, Other than that, I mean, it's really open to DM's interpretation,
Yeah,
what the place
yeah,
looks
I
like,
made it
and
into an extra dimensional prison once you get
mm,
into it, and so that was both a way to make sure that no one came in to rescue the prisoners, but also that the prisoners couldn't escape out, and you can host all sorts of creepy things in there. So yeah.
Smedger's right. Carl Sargent has a lot of credit to bringing the spooky to
Yeah,
Greyhawk.
yeah, he brought up
Yeah.
that dimension several notches from the early kind of pure classical fantasy.
Didn't he?
Yeah,
And can't remember his biography very well, but didn't he work on like Warhammer or something like that?
I
He's
think so because
English.
he was not when he took on and did the from the Ashes and the other Greyhawk products. That was not his first gig, I think, in the RPG community here and business. He had done other stuff before, I think. Yeah. I don't think he came from nowhere. He was probably accomplished when he started it. At least it looked like it to me. I'm not sure, but he was certainly did a good job, in my opinion, of moving things forward and especially in the spooky direction. Yeah.
Yeah, so that place is
Yep, that's one of
definitely
my
high on my
favorites.
list
Yeah,
of
I've
stuff to
scared the
do.
living daylights of some
All right.
players back in the day here, so we had a lot of fun in the Gimmergate. Or at least I had. Maybe my players didn't, but
Okay, while we're in the area, how about the Dungeon of Bleeding Walls? Just the name of it is
now you
spooky.
setting me on. Now I need to get a note in here again. I think because I don't think I have that one. The Dungeon
Okay,
of
it's in the
Bleeding Walls.
Waste. It's close by.
Okay.
It's in. Uh,
Oh, hang on a second. It's up here. Maybe I have
I think
something
it's
up
in I
here.
Is the Evil.
Let's see. If it's an I Use the Evil, I should have it because I read that one from. Yes, it is. Yeah, I have it. Yep, I have it. Yep.
So again, this
It's
is a
up here
place.
near the burning cliffs
Yeah.
and the
All right.
melted fane and folly and the
In the Waste.
yeah. Way up in the north here.
It's a it's just a basic dungeon open for anyone to develop. The There's no real backstory on it, but it's reputedly a place of vampires and were rats and
Hmm. I've heard
just
something about
walls of blood.
beholderkins of various kinds and
Yeah.
creepy stuff up there too.
So
So
there could
yeah.
be anything in there.
Yep. Hmm.
It just
Yep.
sounds creepy.
Yep. Hmm.
Uh, so jumping around again.
Yeah.
How about all right? So that's two of them in the Waste area. Let's head down straight south to the necropolis of Unog.
Oh yes, I remember. Let's see.
Can In the
It's
Bright Desert.
oh that far. Okay, hang on a second.
Yeah,
Yep,
way far down.
yep, way far down. I thought you were going to stop, but I'm going to add that one if you don't. Then I've add simply for the name
Hmm.
only. Let's see here. We have the necropolis of Una. They should be. Yep, there they are.
Got it.
Yep, got it here. We zoom in
Um,
a little bit here.
so the necropolis of Unog is like a ruin of old Empire of Solm before it fell to magic, as usually happens in Greyhawk, and turned into the Bright Desert. The necropolis is, as you would expect, a ginormous cemetery uh, found in the accessory Rary the Trader. And as you would expect in kind of a necropolis, you got stuff like liches and other undead
The
stuff just
ghouls of
lurking in
you
there.
probably have the whole monster manual of the undead chapter
Right.
in one spot. Yep.
Except given the size and location of this place, this is the type of place where if you wanted to, and I don't think it might not be totally developed in Rary the Trader, but like
I think it's one of these mentioned that got like a half a page or something, if I remember, or something like that. It's yeah.
Darkbridge Temple. Thank you, Saracenus. Um, Anyhow, the necropolis would be a nice place to raise like an undead army if you wanted to do one of those
Yeah, yeah.
kind of
There's been
things.
a number of undead infestations that have been manifesting themselves here and there. So, yep. Oh, this is awesome. Yep.
Man. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So far, chat's throwing out some good answers and references here.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's perfect. We
Uh,
have so many people that know their
and
way around here. So yeah, it's
and
perfect.
let's take a break on not break, but to mention Shane wants to bring up Gen Con.
Okay,
How's
then we'll take a break and show the that it's time to take a break. We have
well,
the
no, I mean, you might
oh
want to have to go away. Just mention it.
okay, yeah, we have the Gen Con B&B. So if you go into Gen Con this Gen Con, you can stay with the Greyhawk crowd, and they will have Shane have managed to rent what I think is basically a house within 30 beds and gaming tables, or at least tables and stuff, and it's located 6 miles from the con. And actually, if you stay at a place like that, I don't think I really would need to go to the Gen Con at itself. I could just stay at the bed. So this is the image, and I'm going to post a link in chat. And let's see here. Now I need to hang on a second. I lost the yeah. There we go. Here is the link where you can sign up for this awesome thing. This is so cool with the for Gen Con. I don't think we've had that much Greyhawk presence since the Living Greyhawk
No, it's
ended.
enormous.
Yeah, so this is so cool. So kudos to Shane for starting this. If I My guess is that he at least I know he's part of setting this up and arranging all this, and this is awesome. So the link
I
is in the
want to
show.
take part of this
Yeah, me too.
in
And
thing.
yeah, and I'm
Uh,
going to Gen Con. That much I know, but I'm
yeah,
going to work
I'm.
for most of the time, but I will do my very best to, if I have to walk those 6 miles to get there and then back again, I get my hiking for the
Yeah.
day done too, and say hi, then I have to somehow. We'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to end up on that block or not. If my Gen Con decision is going to be closer to the con because of my work, but
Oh, that's true. Yep.
I've never wanted to go to Gen Con more than I have this year
Yeah.
or this coming year. Uh,
Okay. So now that was one spooky location, or well, hopefully
ooh.
spooky in a cool way that you can have fun with all the Greyhawk buddies playing and yeah.
So yeah, if we go west, as we have the pits of Azak, Zil, which is not on my list, but is an excellent choice because it's another undead location, I believe.
I remember it, but I can't remember. I remember the name, but now oh, there we go.
It's
Pits of Asaxil.
yeah,
Yep, here we
yeah.
are. Yeah, I knew they were in
It's
the
I
area. Yep.
believe a dwarven mine. Correct? Anyone correct me right now if I'm wrong. A dwarven mine where there's a meteor, uh, hits,
Yeah,
and there's like maybe some weird emanations, raising stuff from the dead and stuff like that.
that is really cool. Okay, now we've been
Agent Sage.
we've been far up in the north, and we've been up in the Yacht Hills, and we've been around the Greyhawk area. So where do we have other spooky locations?
Agent Sage has a lot of one shots apparently.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Grumbleskin says there's a Ket monastery in the hills.
Oh, the Ket
You got
Mon.
me
Oh,
stumped,
yes,
man.
there is a Ket monastery. Hang on a second. We go to Ket.
Really?
Yep, there is a monastery. It's the hidden monastery of Alakbar.
Oh well, I could have guessed that.
Yeah. So that's the monastery I know about, so to speak. I didn't know the spookiness of the location. It was mentioned in, I think, a Living Greyhawk thing, and I just put it on the map, and that was it.
Uh,
And it has the Red Flood River. That kind of sounds spooky to me.
oh
So
yeah.
yeah, that sounds kind of spooky. Yeah.
Um,
Yes, that's awesome. And Nikara, you came up with an awesome name. The Ross is in my opinion,
Nicara.
yeah.
Ross, yeah, Ross's
Ross is
is
after the fall and the
after the
magic
ball.
and the yeah and all
Yeah,
the animuses and there's some nasty, and you can have devilry and all sorts of
right.
stuff in there. So that could be a really awesome location for spooky adventures. Yep.
And so I had like I mentioned at the start of the thing on my blog, I'll be posting an article on 7 more of these
Mm-hmm.
locations,
Yep.
and so far, I don't think anyone's mentioned the ones that I've came up with.
Okay, so
But
do we have
yeah,
any more we should go around? Because I have a
uh,
few more that I
I
want to
have a couple
add.
more, but they're
Perfect. Oh,
just
yeah, please. Oh, please go
yeah.
on. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my last two are coming back to published adventures. They're
Mm-hmm.
nothing really special. First one you got close by is the Ghost Tower of Inverness.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. That's really close to home, so to
Another
speak.
classic module,
Yep.
with
Mm-hmm.
spooky disappearing tower and
Yep.
soul
Down here
gem,
south of Hardby a bit and
all the
Woolly
creepy
Bay.
stuff in between. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's nice, another one of them nice local to Greyhawk City type
Yep.
modules that you can
Yep.
run in a
Mm-hmm.
night or two.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever ran it, but I own it.
Yeah, me too. I never ran it. I've read it through just so I could try and place it on the and it's been placed on a number of maps, I think. So, yep.
The
Okay.
Screaming Column. Hmm.
Yes, the Screaming
Yeah, I don't
Column
remember the
of
Screaming Column. That's
Rosses.
cool.
It's part of the Rosses and the Screaming Columns is yes, it's one of the that is one of the now I have to spell a secret that Linda and me we are looking into modeling it and
Okay,
there are some awesome cool models and stuff. So yep, so we are doing inspirational kind of probing work in that direction. So yeah, it's kind of
cool.
yeah, it's kind of really cool. Yeah.
The only other place I really have to throw out, I mean, I don't have anything to go on the
Hmm.
Ghost Tower because I don't know much about it
Yeah.
per se, except that it has a great location. But the last place I would probably throw out that I would call a spooky location, and this one's fun for low-level characters, which is the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh.
Oh yes, that's a
Uh,
good
yeah,
one.
right off the bat, boom, you start with a low-level venture of searching a haunted house. What's not to like?
That yeah, that is really a classic one. So let's go down here and we pass the Lort Mills and we go.
This one's down
Yeah, it's a
below
little bit
Keelan.
further. We almost passed Keelland,
I think
and
it
now
is
we're
in
yeah,
Keelan.
now we're
Yep.
down here, down on the Sullymore coast.
Yep. Keep trucking.
Yep, here we go.
So yeah, Salt Marsh. I have ran this module, and it's not very long. Easily ran. It's like also part one of a 3-part series, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's one of
And
these kind of great adventures to start out if you want to start with
yeah,
something published like the Hamlet or the Temple of Elemental Evil
right.
series, or this one is another classic to start with.
And I think third edition updated Salt Marsh, maybe
Yeah, I
developed
think
it a
so.
little
Yeah.
more
Mm-hmm.
if you're really into it.
Yep. This is cool. Okay, let's see what we have here.
Oh, that's
Yep.
right. Old Smedger. That's Keelan's his baby. I forgot about that.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so that's kind of covers all
Mm-hmm.
my spooky
Yep.
locations.
Then I want to add a couple of them. Not
All right,
because yeah, I want to add one that I think should be there simply first of all because of the name, and it's the
all right.
Howling Hills.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's one of my and there's a number of reasons for it to be spooky. And one of them is the name, the Howling Hills, and the other one is the climate in itself. It's one of these I think classical. We have to go up into the realm of Ayus and up north of here. So it's a set of hills up in the north that are surrounded by plains. So I would simply assume they're very windy. So the howling hills is probably from the
Yeah.
wind howling through the valleys that kind of have that thundering effect. So they're probably horribly cold in the winters and inaccessible that way. So that's one of the reason they're spooky. The other one is that they are home to two spooky things. One is that
Two.
they are burial grounds for the wolf nomads.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have their burial grounds here. So that's another reason for them to be spooky. And then they are also home to things like humanoids have infested these hills for hundreds of years, maybe even thousands, I don't know, but at least Ayus and stuff, a lot of his orc tribes and whatnot uses this as their backwater to hang out in. And we have things like the Soul Husk Caverns.
So
And
us.
yeah, so if something doesn't sound spooky, that's one of the most spooky names I've heard in Greyhawk. So the Howling Hills, and you have the Soul Husk caverns, and then you have Ursunagard, and you have
Hmm.
Kendragund that are humanoid fortresses.
Fortresses.
Yeah, and stuff, and you have the groaning mines and stuff. So this is, in my opinion, one of the
Good
destinations for spookiness. Yep,
destination.
yep.
Hey, Barbaticus, thanks for the 300 bits there.
Oh,
Thanks, man.
awesome. Yes, thank you. Yep.
Thanks for
So,
watching.
yep. So that was one of the major locations. Then I have a few more that I like
Mhm.
simply because of the name, and there are small, neat locations that you can develop. One is in one of the most unlikely locations for spooky places at all. And I'm kind of surprised that
I'm gonna guess it's not Dungeon Land and Land Beyond the Magic Mirror.
no, it's
Thanks,
not. No, I don't think there's ever.
Doomtaka.
It's been
No.
mentioned, and it's been mentioned in the Marklands. It's mentioned
Oh,
there,
okay.
and it's probably the
Marklands.
most good-hearted book ever written for Greyhawk, and has the least amount of spookiness ever. But it is one little place that is actually, and it's in, of all places, in the barony of Willip in the kingdom of Furyundi. It's the Bronze Blood Haunt. It's
Oh,
yeah, it's an
that's on my list.
yeah, it's oh
Well
damn.
done.
Okay,
It's on my
okay.
list.
So I'm sorry I
No,
stole it for you. Yep.
no,
So
go
I
ahead.
then you know more about it than I do. I just
Maybe.
put it on the map years ago. So and then I forgot
Okay.
about it, but I remember the name and it's kind of cool and it's
Bronze
in
Blood Haunt
yeah.
in the middle of a good kingdom of Freyandi.
Yep.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. So that's one of my kind of locations for cool things. And another one, now we're going to take a long step east let's do the shorter step first and go up to the Bandit Kingdoms, an area that has a lot of spookiness just because it's
Okay.
unruly and difficult and whatnot.
Or Draco's home.
Yeah, yeah, and we have to go up to one that I just think, and we've talked about it, I think, on the first or the second show, is the Fleischschreiber castle.
That's two.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yep. You're
Okay,
really.
okay.
We had talked about that one the other night though.
Yes, yeah. So I just the name
Fleischreiber.
only, and yeah,
Okay.
it's one of these. Awesome. Here I come with one that you might not have. So we'll
All
see.
right.
Yeah, we'll see here. Now I'm
Okay.
going to go way east, and
Farther
yeah,
east.
way east here. We're going to
Okay.
go into Old Great Kingdom country.
All
All
right.
yeah, see if we get. So we're going to go way east in what used to be the heartlands of the Great Kingdom, and then ended up in the North Kingdom. It's one of these old cities of the old Great Kingdom. So we'll see if I found something that you haven't found, or vice versa. And
Maybe.
it become a spooky thing, and I'm going to show here, and it's the city of Rinluru, or however you pronounce it. I think it's
Uh-huh.
Rinluru. And the
Yep.
reason it's spooky, it's one of these undead infestations.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
you're
during the
right. How
Living
did I forget
Greyhawk,
that place?
yeah, so yeah, during
Yeah.
the Living Greyhawk campaign, for some reason the priest, the undead situation got out of hand, and that's why it's now a free city, because they basically quarantined it, and they're trying to keep a tab on the undead situation. And they have near it's the Reaper Keep, and that's another one of these, I think,
Ah, how
really
did I miss that?
super cool spooky
Reaper keep
location. Yeah,
narrow
yeah,
out of death.
yeah. So there's another one that I think is worthy to
Well
mention
done
here.
on that one. I like that.
Okay, thank you.
There's
Yep.
so much undead in the Great Kingdom, though. It's
Oh yeah, yeah.
like
Animuses
it's
and
the
all
dying
sorts. Yep.
kingdom
Yep.
plug.
Yep. And now when we're in the Great Kingdom, we're going to go to an area that I'm familiar, because I've run campaigns for years in this area. And there are in if we go into, and now I'm going to switch maps here. Now we've been
All
to
right.
the my public map, so to speak. Now we're going to switch into my campaign map, and I want to show because this one has way more details in the same area.
All right.
And this one has some cool spooky locations. One of them is the Temple of Lohan. Doesn't sound particularly spooky, but it
Well,
is one cool location because that's where the Death Knights had their creation thingy.
oh,
Yeah, so it's an old abandoned temple, a cult place, so to speak, and where the Death Knights were kind of formed and shaped. And it's just was a little wayside chapel. It's perfect to spook the hell out of any party at any level, so to speak. So,
well, that one's closer to your where your home campaign
yep,
was
yep.
placed.
So,
So
yep.
yeah,
It
no,
did,
I didn't
yeah,
think of that.
and the placement is mine. The place
Okay.
is canon, meaning it's been talked about
Mhm.
in when you have the Death Knights and the Living Greyhawk journals and stuff. But I placed it there, and this simply because I thought that would be a good place for it to be occasionally. That's one spooky place. Another one is the Castle of Black Splinter, run by a
Black.
vampire of two vampires. One of them is an illusionist, and the other one, and the it's run by a prince of the former Great Kingdom, and he is a cousin to the Prince Carvin in, or brother maybe, I forgot which, in Rel Devon, and he is
Hmm.
an evil asshole beyond anything, and he's
Hmm.
a vampire, and he has one of his closest trusted allies, and he's a vampire necromancer, like level 20 or something, and
Oh,
he has a,
double
yeah,
double
exactly. So
whammy.
he's double whammy. So he don't mess with him, and he kind of has his experiments and stuff in that area, and it's the Splinter Marsh, so it's like a marshy area around it. So
Yes, we can thank Smedger for
yeah,
a lot of Death
mm-hmm,
Knight
yep,
lore.
yep. So we have it in. So I turned this area into my spookiness area number one here in this.
I
So I added
never
some
found that
cool, yeah.
place.
So the Black Splinter Keep itself, my players never came to that. They were wise enough to stay away from it. And then you have the Fang. That's the coolest little spookiest inn ever. That is run by a hag who
Oh,
simply sells body parts and stuff for, so if you're an aspiring necromancer or someone who wants spooky things for your cool necromancy spells and your concoctions and whatever, you can go to the Fang, and then you can pass Henas. That is a small little village that is run by a number of ghastly humanoids, that so on and so forth, and they are basically checking so the Fang doesn't get too many customers in one go, and they can lighten the pockets of all the buyers, so to speak. So they're basically, and then the Fang is run by a hag called Ishma, and she's a night hag with necromancer levels, and she's one of the Black Splinter's accomplices, so to speak, and she runs that little thing, and she's part of the guarding, and she has a cabal of hags, of green hags and anises and all sorts of nastiness that live there, and they kind of guard the area. And the prince of Black Splinter, he also has a black dragon that lives up, Ratukash.
Black Dragon.
Yeah, a black dragon that's Ratukash Darkspire, and has a lair in the northern end. So he kind of likes to have powerful creatures that kind of tend to his domain, so he doesn't have to run out and defend it all the time, so to speak. So that's that's one of the spookiest areas that I've used and developed in my the Black Splinters canon. The castle is there, and it's written about in even the Undying. But the
Mhm.
Fang and Ishma and Ratukash are things that I added in my
Ah, okay,
campaign.
okay.
But the Black
Awesome.
Splinter and the Vampire Necromancer and his vampire aid and stuff, that's all canon from
What a
even
book.
the Undying. So yep, so that's one of my absolute favorite spooky locations that I kind of added some spookiness to it. So yep,
Thanks for the let's see, Dragon magazine reference, Guntaka.
yeah,
And Saracenus, yes, Greyhawk City has so many spooky just spots within it.
mm-hmm, yep,
Um, and yeah, the sewers,
yep,
talking about
yep,
undead,
mm-hmm,
just going down there could
yep.
be a night's worth of, you know,
Yep. There's
adventure.
one. That's another area that is that I want to add. Not too far from here, that was massacred so heavily during the war that it's kind of just no one has
Yeah,
re-civilized it again. Uh-oh. Damn, I
go
take it
on.
one. Okay. Yeah, it's to the southeast here. If we follow we go down here and we follow the Telly River. Should we not
Uh-huh.
talk about it? So they have to
No,
be
no, no,
the
no,
log.
no, you're okay.
Okay,
Kelly River,
yeah.
go
So
on.
if you if we zoom out a little bit here, so we follow the from the Karlstrand that is now the new capital of the United Kingdom of Elissa, and then we follow the river. It used to be a big city. They used to be the capital of the of Medegia. That used to be the Principality of Medegia, if I remember correctly. And Pontilver was the
Hmm,
capital and a major port city on the southern side of the Great Kingdom. But for some reason, I don't know who ruined it, but for some reason it was ruined and it was overrun and then left with undeads and all
sure.
sorts of crap. And it's become a decrepit place by the coastline here. So that's another spooky location that is
Cool.
available, so to speak, if you want
Yeah,
to.
I wasn't even thinking that.
Yep. So
That could be like the New Orleans of
yeah. Mm-hmm.
the Great Kingdom.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's the that's another. These are the ones that came to mind when I was thinking about it because I didn't know which ones that you were going to talk about. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
Well,
yeah. So these
I don't
are
know the Great Kingdom as well.
yep.
Uh,
Yep. So those are a couple of obvious ones. Let's see if I can remember. Do we get any? You check the chat and see if we have
I'm
any
not going
more
to throw
clue.
any new ones out. But yes, Smedger has a lot of unreleased article stuff that he did not get published. Uh,
Oh, now this is such a
so more
teaser that
Death
now
Knight
you said
stuff, you know,
what? Yeah, now we need to see them. They
needle him.
yeah, exactly. Now we need to see him. So yep, we need to see these articles. Yep. Mm-hmm. Links are needed. Now we talked about in the public, so we need to see them now. Yep.
Yeah, Ryan Glade's right. The Great Kingdom itself, Ivid
Yeah.
destroyed his
Yeah.
own
Mm-hmm. Yep. There is
country and
yeah.
people.
It's a lot,
That's
and all the
messed up.
animuses that are here and there and still ruling and roaming around and death.
No. Smedger's asking if we have covered Spine
No,
Key
we
or
haven't. And yeah, we
no.
that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
there's a whole bunch of stuff, and
There's a lot.
there's some
We
up
could do this
here
every year.
in another area up north of here is one Lambs of the Dreadlord. That's another one that
Yeah.
yeah that is kind of really cool. And you have the Ripper mines, and then you have the Depar Castle, and it's the lands of the Dreadlord. It's one of the Death Knights that
Oh,
kind
okay.
of decided to settle down here, and he simply carved out his little domain, and that is yeah. So it's sitting there. So that's really cool, and not. North of that is one of my absolute favorite locations in all of the Flannies is Spine Castle, and oh, it's awesome. It's that thing that the guardian of the north for the Great Kingdom, and it has an interesting history, been run over by humanoids, and oh, it's a
Mhm.
fantastic place, and it should definitely go high on the spookiness list. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So again, Carl Sargent and all that stuff that was like post uh, Greyhawk Wars that really
Yep.
tore up
Mm-hmm.
the Flanneus
Yep.
and just made so many new adventure locations. A lot of them spooky. And if you didn't care about the whole war backdrop, just the service he did in creating so many new adventure locations for DMs to develop is enormous. Because if you never played a published adventure in your life, there'd still be a zillion places on that map to use for yourself.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so now we dug deep into spookiness. So yeah, so
Yes,
that was fantastic.
Ryan Glade asks
Yeah.
if there's a Dragon Magazine article on Spine Castle. Yes, and
Yes.
Smith wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the number. I
Exactly.
think it
Me
was
neither. Yeah, but there is it's a great article from it. Adventure with a
wasn't it
lot of
like the
information.
penultimate dragon
Might have been, yeah,
magazine,
because
like one
I,
of the
I
last
forgot
ones
where,
they
but
did?
there is a well-written thing that is like 10, 15 pages or something like that. So there is a extensive material about Spinecastle that is just
Yep,
awesome. Yeah.
yep.
And now when we talk about that, there is a similar location to the Spine Castle that we mentioned. Maybe we Mike and me talked about it off the show that mentioned. And now we need to go up to the hold to the land of the fist, to the Stonehold. And
Still,
no, close to them there is one that is, but it's more underground, but it's very similar. It's called Garen Erikdal, and it's the
still city.
yeah, it's one of these humanoid location that is like a huge underground fortress for full of humanoids and stuff. And I have some cool ideas of why that is there, because they used to hunt various animals that migrated left back and forth in the past. That's why they set Vlekstad there, because these animals like woolly mammoths and others, they actually migrated west and east. So that's why they actually settled there, both of them. And now they probably hunted most of them to extinction in my version of the campaign. But that's another one of these that you can make into a spooky location and really cool. Yeah.
Guntaka, you're trying to link the Greyhawk Collector's Guide, and it probably won't let you. But I
Yeah.
believe you can find that on Ian World.
Okay. Yeah. That's more than I know. So good. Yeah.
Just Google it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I realized that I didn't show the map. Hang on a second here. Uh, we go into Stonehold, and I realized I didn't have the map up. So here
Hmm.
up in Stonehold, there is the pass going west to east here, and then you have Vlekstad, that is the capital of the Stonehold, the hold of Stonefist that it used to be, and then they kind of called them Stonehold. And then there's Garel Engdal, that is a humanoid underground enclave here. So
Yeah,
that
there's some
that's
creepy
one of
stuff in that
these, yeah,
city.
that's one of
I
these
mean, as
locations
creepy as
that,
a city
yeah.
full of orcs can
Hmm.
be.
Yeah, and it's mentioned in like two paragraphs somewhere. I forgot where, but it's 2 or 3 paragraphs or something up there. And in my campaign, their place there, the reason there is like a huge conglomerate of humanoids, and the stoneholders or the fists actually had their capital there, was that there was a lot of prey animals that left. They went east and west in their migration, and so that was one of the, I have to come up with some reason for them to actually locate here. So yep. Okay, so now we've been into spookiness.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
not throwing any more out because, like I said, I only
You,
got five that she hasn't said.
okay, good. Then
Yeah,
we keep them for so you
yeah,
can put them on the blog, and then we can see, people might have questions about them that we can come back to next week or something. So when they
yeah,
read your blog post and stuff. So okay, now we've been spooky for almost an hour. This is awesome. Yep. So
yeah.
we've been spooky for almost an hour. So yep. That's the spookiness. Now, since I'm on the show, you have to bear with me because we get into map things
We have
almost
a
every
map
week. Yeah,
topic.
like
Yes.
yeah, like you saw that what I've been doing apart from putting new stuff, and realized that I missed some things. So that's one of the awesome things of doing this show, is that we come up with at least one new thing every week that I need to put on the map. But one of the big tasks in map making is to actually get the major things in place first, and to get it in the right spot. And so far, my Flannies map has just been basically a more detailed rework of the existing maps. But
Right.
now, when I'm redo the whole thing, I realized now I want to use modern tools. I want to use geographical information systems, and I want to be able to potentially map the whole planet. So I need to figure out where the Flannies is located. And so in order to do that, I needed to start figuring out how to actually georeference the Flannies, where to put things, where is the Flannies, and how to do that. So in order to do that, I simply set out and started to do it the same way you would do it with the real world. So I took the map of the Flannies, and or the actually the whole map of the whole planet, and I made a very primitive map. This is just the map that I make what they call an equi-rectangular version. That is the whole globe just stretched out to a square. So each area of the map is turned into a square, and that means that it looks kind of ridiculous. Everything that is close to the poles is enlarged, and things that are in the middle around the equator is much smaller. But this is easy because you can actually wrap this one around the globe and make it work really easy.
Oh,
And what I did was that then I took this map and then I put the Earth onto this map. And here is the world as we know it mapped on top of Earth, just for comparison. Because that way I can make sure that this this map matches a real map, and that way I get the coordinates right. So
ah,
so I had to, yeah, so I had to put this into, and now we're going to see if I put this. Now I'm going to see if I can use. Here is the thing inside QGIS, that is a GIS software. So here is the map, and I have two layers. I have here is a world map that is georeferenced. That is it's also equi-rectangular, and that is like a mathematically designed projection. So it actually works. So this one is projected according to that, and then I have now mapped, so you can actually zoom in and look at that it actually matches. So now I have the Flanies mapped, or so I can go in here and take points on this, and then my next step will be to take just the Flanies area here and go in and map them and do the same thing with the real world area in higher resolution, and then put down what you would call virtual when you do real mapping the real world, you put these what they call them bolts. You put them down into the you
bolts.
yeah, they're kind of bolts. You shoot them down in the ground, and they have small tag numbers on it. So when you do aerial photography, you can see
Oh,
where these
wow.
bolts are, and I will put these virtual bolts in here and name
Yeah.
them, and that way I will take these bolts, and then when I take the use that, I make a reference map and I put it in my 3D software. These bolts are there, so I know exactly where they are, and then when I export it out, these bolts will be, and I know exactly what the coordinates for that bolt, and that means that I can take it in and I can actually straighten it out afterwards. So that way so in order to get it right, I need to figure it out where it is. And in this, if you look at it here, we have the city of Greyhawk. That is, hang on a
Will
second,
be
I
an
need to,
exam.
yeah, I need to go into full screen. We have Greenwich that is here, and you can see these dotted lines here is the zero meridian, and that one goes through Greyhawk City. So I
Oh,
put Greyhawk
oh, that's
City.
fitting.
Yeah, so I use the Greyhawk
Okay.
City as the zero meridian. If I've done this like before 572, then it will probably, the zero meridian will be over here by Rossi's. But I'm going with the post-war situation here. So now I use the zero meridian, and also this map I need to match something, because there is the best um, resource for how to get the latitudes right is this map that is from the Glossography, the second little book. Hang on a second here. We have I'm going to do this. So there were two books in the old 1983. Let's see if it gets focused back here. So come on, my camera can kind of, yeah, there we go. So there were two books in the 83 book set, the kind of most classic Greyhawk product ever made, and my box have kind of fallen in disrepair, so it's no longer usable. But and you see the pages are falling out here. But
Yours are
I,
in better condition than mine.
okay, yeah, but anyway, the companion little tome here is the what they call the Glossography. You have to correct me if I'm pronouncing that hard word.
Glossography works for me.
Glossography. Okay, good. So this one it's basically full of tables of all sorts about encounters, climate. That is an awesome climate system in here. And if anyone knows of someone who made a computer program doing this, I will be very interested in it. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I
I'm
have to sit and
interested how it was made too.
yeah, because that's really, really cool. And on page 18, there is this map.
It's like an ins
Yeah, inserted.
larger.
Yeah, and now we're going to look at the old map here. And this one shows the longitude of the Flanies. The problem with this one is that the longitude lines are just drawn horizontally across half the world, which means that it's kind of looks kind of weird. But if we keep an eye on these numbers and look at the lines, and then we compare that to my maps here. Oh, hang on a second. I use full screen here, and we zoom in here, and then I've tried my very, very best to follow this. So here is the 60 degree north. That is 30 degrees from the pole. And the reason this one is a little bit wider and this one is fully white, and that's what
You're
it,
looking for those circles,
this is the polar area. So
polar.
so this is 30 degrees sorry, 15 degrees from the pole.
Greyhawk should be warmer than it is.
Yeah, so this area up here is the one that falls regardless of season. It will be dark, certain or it never, the sun never rises in the summer, and since the actual
Oh,
tilt of Earth is 30 degrees instead of 27 degrees, meaning that the polar areas are slightly larger than they are in the so this is the polar circle. So there is the land of the black ice is just south of the polar circle. So the winters are more severe and the summers are more summery. So the seasons are a little bit more exaggerated on Earth compared to our normal world. So if I
it's
go in,
probably also why the Drummage Ocean is warm repeatedly.
yeah, and it's also it's coming from, it has that southern tip. So I simply
Yeah.
assume that the currents flow along the Baklunish coast from the south, so to speak. So that's my explanation. And then you can have some plane of fire influences and all sorts of cool fantasy
Oh,
stuff.
sure.
Yeah, but what I tried to do is I tried the best possible. I need to learn what screen to actually use to get these lines matching. So I have the longitude parallels are actually matching, almost identical. So I figured that one out. And now I can wrap this and make it into a globe and stuff. So let's see here.
Hey,
Yeah,
finally.
so we can see what it looks like here. So we can
It's going to get weird.
yeah, so
Hey, thanks, Greyhawk Channel, for putting up Smedger's links there. You are Ivid's champion.
yeah. So here is what you can do when you, now I played with it just to see what happens. So now when I've actually mapped it, I wanted to see what the whole world
Oh,
looked
wow.
like. And one of the best projections was actually, this is another equirectangular, but it's called oblique because it actually shows, it's trying to show the polar areas as well as the equator fairly accurately. So there is
I've
distortions up
never
here in
seen
the,
it like that before.
exactly, it's yeah,
It's
but
crazy.
this is when I try, and I tried out, there's like 30 or 30 something major projections that you can try out, and this one was one of the most interesting ones because this is in a way is a very workable projection to show
Yeah.
the nature of Earth. And I kind of to me this one, I would love to see a world map done using this projection, because here you got all the continents and you cut up the Solnor Ocean, and the distortion is basically this area get distorted up here in the if we zoom in a bit here, so this area here is distorted, and that's where you have major distortion, but and you have a bit of distortion down here.
Still not bad overall.
Exactly, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
So this one is functional. This one projection actually gets you can do global you can kind of do global voyaging, you can do sea voyages and kind of global adventuring on a flat map. This projection is kind of
Hmm.
awesome that way. So
Yeah.
so it's you have a lot of distortion back here. So if it the real world, it will be a terrible projection because you can see here Kamchatka is 4 times bigger than Greenland, but for Earth it doesn't matter much because this is just the Solnor Ocean. So some of the islands over in the Solnor will be 10 times bigger, but for the known continents, the major continents and the oceans that you will travel in between them, this projection actually is really really cool. And
I'm
yeah,
glad you're right. The Earth is flat.
yeah, yeah,
Arlington proved
yeah,
it.
yeah. And I wish it was flat because it will be way easier to map it. So yeah, that will be I will be for that reason. I'm a very big proponent of a flat Earth, but the problem is that there are enough sources saying that it is a sphere. So
Uh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
was going to say the god of travel, Farlangan,
He can
has
change
the
it. Maybe
he
that's
has the
his.
Earth disc. You know,
Ah, that's
the Earth
true.
disc,
Maybe it's
and
just some scholars who misunderstood things in Greyhawk and Rossi's. They came up with the stupid idea of
uh,
making it into. This is an interesting thing because it will
uh,
make it so much easier to.
mhm.
But then and the Underdark can be under. But what do we do with water? Well, it's the plane of water. The
The
water is just
cylinder.
created in the
Yeah,
middle
I
and
don't
then
know.
fall off the edge of the world. That might
What
be.
if it's a cylinder?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like that. You called it oblique.
Yeah, it's because it's
Really cool.
yeah, it's hang on a second. We have to cool.
And
There
that
we go.
that map
Yeah.
looks easy enough. You could draw if you had like a. I'm imagining now just any of the people watching at home. If
Mhm.
someone would come up with a blank piece of paper
Yeah.
with that oblique uh, pattern on it,
Mhm.
then you could just draw your own landforms.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be too hard.
No, and actually I love it because it you can see the whole continent of Eric in one fairly
Yeah,
non-distorted thing. You can see from the North Pole to the South Pole, and you get all of it, and you still get the other southern continent separate. And it's kind of distorted a little bit, but not horribly distorted. And it's there, and you get the whole world in one easy, not terribly distorted way. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, I in many ways I love this projection, and there are many different ones, so we can dig in here. We can see
yeah.
this
No,
one is a heart shaped, and like you see, this one would work really well. If you look at the map of the real world, it works kind of well, but for the Flanies or the Earth, it's
that's
kind of
bizarre
terrible.
too.
Look at this continent.
Reminds
It's
me of a Christmas ornament.
Yeah, exactly. So there are many horrible ones. And here's an interesting one. If you're interested in the Flanies and the northern bit and the pole, this one is kind of interesting because here you get these areas are fairly non-distorted, so to speak. So you get the polar region fairly,
That one
yeah,
confuses a little, but I do
yeah,
like the polar
yeah,
overview.
yeah. And here is one that where we can look at. This is one of these that you see in various old atlases and stuff that is trying to smear it all out. And so it's kind of, yeah. And then we have some. Now I'm going to go off the rails a bit here. We have this one is kind of interesting. If you want to
What
flat,
sorcery is that?
yeah, this is the gnomic cubes sphere, and this is if you want to flatten the world, it's one of these projections that you can use. And if I want to create the world terrain in
I've
one
seen this
file,
one before.
yeah, it's kind of,
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of this one. It's great
it's a
because
cube.
you get very
Yeah.
non-distorted areas around the poles here. So it doesn't it cuts off the landforms like this, but land areas are very non-distorted. You can actually see how big Hipmona land is compared to this area and so on. So
Huh.
so for that reason, it's and you can cut it up in different shapes and stuff too. So it's kind of interesting. And then now let's see if I'm going to dig into. I made a few other ones
Edgar's
here.
right. Break work up. It's too big.
Yeah.
Eastern
Mm-hmm.
Oregon is like far eastern Oregon,
Yep.
and then what should be Western Oregon is like, you know, central Easter. It's just it's too
Yeah.
big.
And here's another similar projection that works with non that doesn't distort the land areas. The land areas are very accurate
Hmm.
in this, but it's a wonderful way if you want to see the
Looks like
polar
art,
yeah,
like
if you want to
Art
see,
Deco or something.
yeah, if you want to have a polar map of the Flanies and
Huh.
stuff, then you get this. So it's perfect for polar adventures. This
Yeah,
projection would
yeah,
be really cool. So
that
yeah,
would be a nice game
yeah.
map
If you want to travel by ship or do expeditions across here to the lands over here, you can get, because this one is very accurate, seen from the North Pole.
now. Are
So
you going to have these example maps available anywhere?
yes, I will. They will come. I will write extensive blog post about this.
Okay,
So yeah, I'm just gonna kill off most of these. Here we go. And I have now we're going to look. These were the weird projections and stuff. Now we're going to look at the what it looks like. This is what the planet would look like from space, so to speak. So this
okay.
is non-distorted, and
Hey, Ryan Glade, Oles west of the Barrier Peaks. What's the problem?
okay, we need to, yeah, we need, hang on a second here. Now we need to go into to map
From
thing here.
space.
Yep.
All
So,
right, now we're getting down to an actual globe here,
oh yes, yeah. So
right?
so hang on a second. Let me. I'm going
This
to.
is the view from uh, Luna.
Yeah. So this. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. So yeah. So hang on a
Hey,
second. I'll go full
one
screen.
man's trash is another person's treasure.
Yep. So this
Smetter.
is what it looks like from a spot roughly mid over the continent or Eric. And you can see here, this one to me looks distorted. So I need to redo this so it looks, because it's just taken from my the earlier model. So it's actually taken from this model.
Yeah,
And you see that this is probably what
it's
it
kind of
should look
pinched.
like. Yeah, exactly. So this is what it's supposed to look like. And if you look at, but this is what it becomes after you actually look at it on the maps, meaning I need to
Yeah.
redo it. So that's it will require a lot of redoing this way to make the Flanies and Earth
Mm.
actually look like it's supposed to look. So that's the phase I will there will be a lot of readjusting that way. So this is just a model I'm working with that will be refined for the next couple of years. But this is outside of the Flanies. This is that Hyperborea land
Hmm.
up north. So but it will be interesting to do adventures and
Is
develop
anyone
this.
else disappointed that the land of black ice doesn't extend farther north? I always imagined it
Yeah,
as this impassable
yeah. Mm-hmm.
glacial
Yep,
just mass,
yep.
and no, it just ends.
Yeah, and yeah, and I totally agree with that, because I thought it would be clearly up in the polar region, and we actually get to a problem, because if we go into map only, and I'm
Yeah.
going to kill this off. So and when I started doing this map 20 years ago, I thought this area, the Thelonian Peninsula here, was clearly up in the polar region. So this
Hmm.
is more accurate for winter, because in the summer this will probably not be. This will
Ooh,
be
night game.
tundra, like northern Siberia or
Yeah.
something. That's where it will be. It's so the Flanies is actually really far south, because the Greyhawk will be like in the middle of Mediterranean or something. So it's
And
yeah.
so Smedger wants to know where your polar cap is at. I'm thinking he's referring to Polaria or whatever it's called in the south.
Oh, okay, yeah. So hang on a second. Let's go into to full screen again here, and let me go into. Let's dig in here, because this is another one that this is the Earth seen from the both hemispheres. So we have the Western
Mhm.
Hemisphere centered on Greyhawk. So we are, in this case, we are, I think it was like 20,000 miles just straight over Greyhawk, and so we see
All right.
this hemisphere, the Greyhawk hemisphere here, and
So
then we
where's
see
your
the opposite side here. So we have the North Pole, and these are seen from space, so to speak. And here we have this continent here, and I put it really down south. I don't know if it's accurate or anything. It's just one of these things that I did from based on I just did a mishmash of some of the maps that we've
Okay.
seen so far.
But there, no, not that. Isn't there a Antarctica?
You mean a continent under here? Yeah, that might very
Yeah.
well be. I haven't modeled it because I haven't really seen
Okay.
anything done. Some of it
Well,
is
there's not much to it.
yeah. So, but
Yeah.
it's yeah. We should to me it will be kind of cool because that mean that you can actually almost have some sort of land ice bridge here that so you can have migrations and stuff. At least some creatures and stuff could pass between here. So yeah. So this area it's I just put that together very quickly. So but something we see that first of all, the continent of Oerik is enormous. It's the size of
Mm-hmm.
the Pacific Ocean,
It's
and then we have
ridiculous.
the Solnor Ocean that is even bigger than the Pacific Ocean. So there's probably yeah. So
Empty space. Hmm.
yeah, so there is a
Hmm.
lot of empty areas, and one of the things that I want to do is that there are a place for small, cool little islands and stuff here and there that are not.
Break it up.
Yeah, so we can break it up and small mini worlds, so to speak, that could be a few 100 miles across or something.
Pangeorth.
So back. So
Yeah.
that's part of trying to map it down. So I'm
Next level
developing the
mapping.
yeah. So I'm developing the technology to first of all to I'm using yeah just regular GIS software and tools to
I've
map.
seen Orth globes before.
Yeah, I've
There's
done
even
the
an animated one, I
oh
believe,
yeah, I've
on
made
the
several
tour.
using the
Yeah.
equi-rectangular and just wrapped it on the globe. But these aren't just wrapped in on the globe. These will be geographically accurate because I want them to nail them down to precision. So I know that the city of Greyhawk are on this exact location, and I want the western tip of the Tilvanot Peninsula is having exact that location. So I will put down a number of these locations that have
So if you
exact.
had a chute that went
Yeah,
from Castle Greyhawk through the planet, you'd probably end up in the ocean, right?
I think so. Yeah, you can look at it. Hang on a second. We go to full screen
Just
again.
threw that out.
We will actually end up here, roughly here. That's the opposite, or roughly, yeah, roughly around here. So it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Yep. So we will end up in the ocean between the western. You have the western end of continent Oerik here, and you have what is called Antaria, whatever. Yeah, the
Aria or
yeah.
something.
So out here in the ocean, that will be the antipode, or what is it called? The anti.
Sounds right.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, the opposite side of the globe. If you go straight through, that will be the yeah. So these are centered that way. So that
Yeah.
was part of my ongoing thing. So now I'm doing the a rough outline so I can actually take the Flannies and take the next step will be to detail it because it is roughly in the area of Europe and the Mediterranean and then nail down that area. And once I have my current Flannies map pinpointed so I know the location, then I can actually wrap that into the GIS software and I can use that as a base for creating the 3D terrain. And the Lendor Isles will be the first because I want to have a set of isles, but I want to know exactly where the Lendor Isles are so I
And
can map them
stay.
properly, so to speak. So because I need to have a reference map that is geo-referenced that I take into the 3D software, and then when I take the same kind of correction points or location points and I take them out and then I can georeference the output and they will actually match. And that's the idea.
I don't know, Bavix. Who wants to go to Relastra? But I think Relastra is a good launching point if you want to try to circumnavigate the planet.
Oh yes, hang on a second. Let's go back to the map and we have Rel Astra. Yes, Rel Astra is
Hang
one
in
of
there,
these.
Wranglade.
Yep. I totally agree. And it was probably the Great Kingdom's biggest port city because it
Yeah.
had have this first of all
Mm-hmm.
for going along their own coastline up and down because it's
Pretty much.
centrally
It's
located
set.
in the Great yeah, but it's also one that is further east and has the open ocean and so that way yeah, it's one of these.
If there is indeed another Iridian thing to the east, Relastra is likely where they launched from.
Yeah, but it will be an enormous journey because you will hit the continent of Eric probably about 8, 9,000 miles across or something like that. That might be specks of
But
islands, but
smidges.
they are non-developed, so to speak. So
Yeah.
but you will not hit coast for months on end,
No.
according to this what we know so far. But there's so much ocean that we can put a number of islands and chain and specks of land that are a few hundred miles that would not even show up on the large map. So there's plenty of room for to put in stuff there. Like floating islands, you can have all sorts of cool things coming in. These giant
Sinking island.
turtles that are basically an island on top of them can live out there. Yeah, there's the Solnor Ocean is so large that you can hide almost anywhere. Meaning, if an airliner can disappear in the southern Indian
Oh,
Ocean today, imagine an ocean that is 5 times the size in a fantasy world can host almost anything out there, and it can be there for thousands of years without anyone ever seen it. So there is a possibility for almost anything out there. So yeah. So that was my little thing, and then we had a thing that I thought I found that Mike kind of killed off for me.
oh yeah, this is a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah. So it's now we need to look into the old map again, and if you. I don't know if yeah, you can see, but go east of the, hang on a second, I need to take that map. So while you're looking at this, I'm actually going to find that image, and then I'm going to open it. And now I'm going to go to full screen here. Here is the same image, and this is a photograph I took from that map in the glossography. And if you zoom in, there is this,
On the Finlandia Peninsula.
yeah, and it's this little thing here that looked like either is a misprint thing,
Hmm.
or it was like, yes, that maybe that's an island, and it was something that I didn't see on any other maps, and was like, someone missed that and I missed it before. But then we realized that there's actually a border around here because you go everywhere here, and here
Like a
there's,
misprint.
yeah, so there is a black border here, and that misprint is there.
Yeah, now that you've zoomed in on it, it definitely doesn't look like it was something drawn. It
Yeah,
just looks like,
it's a misprint. So yeah,
yeah.
so I was so
I think
enthusiastic when I found that yesterday when I planned
it's like a
this
missing
for the show.
island.
Yeah, and then I was like, yeah, I found it. And then me and
Yay.
Mike we talked, and he shot me
I
down
shot it
in
down.
5 minutes. Yeah, so that was it. So yeah,
But I'm more interested in the island to the north of it because it's,
yeah, this one actually looks different here, and that's one thing. I based mine out of one of the later works, and I realized this one looks different.
I can't
So
remember what I called it.
I don't have a name for it. I've never seen a name for it. So
I
so
think,
if you have a name for it, I will be
yeah, I don't
so
remember what
pleased.
I,
I will
yeah,
be very pleased to put a name on it for
Numenor.
yeah. Okay, yeah. But there is, and now I need to go back to the full screen again here. So yeah, there is one little speck here, this little
Okay.
speck, and I was like, yes, there's an island there too. And then I took a look and realized there was the little dust particle on the map, so I can actually brush it off, and the dust particle was there when I took the picture. So that one didn't cut it. So yeah, so that one didn't actually make it. So I thought that
Dreads.
I found new land that was like, yay, missed land and so on, and they
No.
realized no, it didn't hold up to scrutiny. So now you know the burdens, and
Isle
as a
of Dust.
cartographer you can kind of, you can make a scoop. I found something. I found new land no one
No.
else seen, and then you realize it's just a speck or a misprint or whatever. So yeah. So
Hey,
it's
bards. How you doing?
yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's part of our Darlene's lunch. So we have to. Yeah. We can. Yep. Mm-hmm. So that's some of the troubles and the hopes and the desperations you end up with when you're doing stuff like this. You kind of, oh, that's so cool, and you realize no. So that's one of the other reasons when I talked about what goes on the map or not, meaning text sources. If you
Well,
never
you're
mentioned anywhere in any text whatsoever, then it's an anomaly. So these ones were kind of, I thought the ones outside of the Tholinian Peninsula, that was actually east of it, because on the Darlene map it's cut off, so we can't see what's there. And on the other maps there is nothing there. And on my map, if we go back to, hang on a second, if we go back to my map and look at it,
okay.
I put some some small speck of island up here. And these islands are not canon. They were actually created by the algorithms, terrain algorithms in Bryce. And I thought they were just cool, so I just kept them. And so now I guess for most people that use my maps, they can probably accepted them as part of the geography. So yeah,
And those hurt nothing. They're so small that they wouldn't show
that's
up on a
that's
one
what
hex
my thought
scale anyways.
originally, that they are small enough to have been omitted on the Darlene map. So because Darlene map doesn't really show any features that are smaller than like 25 miles, and these are probably in the biggest one here is probably about 15 miles across or something. So yeah, so that was
You know
it.
what's really cool about all your maps and everything and that you've done over the years is, and I know Anna knows this. Remember those Forgotten Realm and Dragonlance uh, atlases?
Mm-hmm.
Karen Wynn Fonstad. I owned. Oh, and there was also a Middle Earth one.
Yes, and then it's a
Beautiful
Calamar one
cartography.
that it was kind of cool. That was
Yeah.
a whole book.
And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, why didn't Greyhawk's map get done? That was an awful shame. And I don't think until you came along and
Yeah,
did
but
deep
there was actually supposed to be one, because there was an atlas of Greyhawk that was supposed to come out, that was
Oh yeah.
announced in one of the TSR catalogs, and that,
Okay.
yeah, I
And
forgot
that's
which
what it was
year.
going to be.
It was like 2002 or
Huh.
2003 or something like that, and I thought, awesome. Now I don't. So I basically put my thing a little bit on the hold, waiting for that one to come to see what it was,
Oh, I
and
didn't know
I have
she
the
died.
yeah, so
Okay.
that was one thing. I have the because I have the or used to have at least the photo somewhere. So I'll see if I can dig it up to next week's show, because it was something that I think Eric Mona was the editor
Mm.
of or something, and it was actually in the TSR catalog, and I saw it because I was part owner of a game store back then, so we got the TSR catalog, and or it was maybe it was in the 90s somewhere, but I think it was before it was sort of, I'm not real sure, but it was Wizards of the Coast of TSR. They sent out a yearly full color catalog for the upcoming year's products, and it was listed in there as, I think it was the Atlas the of
French.
Greyhawk Atlas or something. So,
Mm.
and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And it never, then it got canceled and it never came out. And but I think that was the work that was done for that is what ended up at as the Paisohawk map.
Well, I guess. Well, oh, I see what you're
Yes,
saying.
I think that
And
was part of
that's
that work. We have to ask Eric Mona sometime.
Lazaretti.
Yeah, exactly, Lazaretti maps. Yeah, so I think that was his work. That was the base for that product. And then when
Mm.
the product got canceled, then they
Okay.
released it later on as part of Dungeon Magazine add-on, so to speak, a
Mm.
few years after that. So that was the, so I actually put my project on hold for a bit and didn't do, because I was thinking, oh, this is going to solve my issues and I'm going
Huh.
to get the map. But then when it was canceled, I was all over again. And then they released, some years into my project, they released the maps that from that Paizo published in as part of the Dungeon magazine, the Terralissi map.
Really cool.
Yep. So that was part of the. Now we have had an hour and a half, but that's part of me
Yeah.
babbling about maps. Everyone here, even in chat and so on, knows me. When I go off on maps like this, we can have tangents that can be
Yeah.
indefinite long tangents. So
We'll talk more about islands and things next time because I know we had some other island topics we could cover for
that's, yeah.
time.
Yep. There's islands is really cool, and that's one of, because the oceans are so big that there is plenty of room to put in all sorts of cool islands and stuff.
Yeah.
So, do we have any more questions from chat and stuff that we need to cover
Um,
before we wrap it up for today?
well, we're very fortunate to have Smedger here,
Yes,
who's
thank you so much. We have a real Greyhawk expert here. So, yeah.
uh, yeah, they were going to do a City of the Flanneus book. I guess that's what Fate of Istis ends up being.
Ah, okay.
That's my
Yeah.
guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because it went from one city to the number of city locations with primitive city maps and stuff in it.
Okay. There's a good question for you. Where is Greyhawk's Mount Everest? I think at one time I had an answer for that, when I was in like high school.
Uh-huh.
Never thought about it since then.
I've thought a little bit about it, and we need to go to. There are a number of candidates. I don't know because I
Okay.
haven't mapped them in 3D yet, but give me 5 years and I'll tell you exactly how many feet
Jeez.
high there are and whatnot. But we need to figure out, and some of the highest peaks, according to what I've portrayed them, they are in the Yatils, and there is one set of peaks here in the south, and you have. Mount Graz and Zoikanth here, and Igvil's Horn. Those are candidates for being super super high. And then you have the another set of mountains here, that is the Griffin Strike Peaks. That's another range of
Ooh.
really 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 tall mountains. So they're all in the Yatils, are the some of the highest ones. And then you have Dog's Peak. It's not that high, but then
So these
and
are canon
yeah, these are Cannon peaks,
peaks.
yeah, or Living Greyhawk peaks. So
Yeah.
those are the tallest peaks
I wouldn't have
in
thought
the.
there was many that were named.
Yeah, so that many that they are mentioned as, and then I've kind of I put the locations on Canon. I put the locations there, but close to where they are set. And then we have the second area for really really tall mountains in the Flannies are the crystal mists. And there I have some of the, what I would say, some of the candidates for really super high peaks are here in the central massif here. I can imagine some of these volcanoes and peaks here are, they are unnamed because there's so many and they're so far from
I
any.
would have always guessed that it's, yeah, right in the center. So I would always go by, oh, well, what mountain range has the most width,
Yeah,
hex
yeah,
wise?
and that will be this area.
And
That will
that's why
be,
I would have
yeah.
said it would be up in the Thalarian
Yeah,
Peninsula.
yeah. So this area here, if you go by geographical features, yes, this area here is my candidate for being the highest. Here we might have the 30,000 plus high tall mountains that are basically impossible, and it's kind of cool because you have the Solorutins tunnel going next to it, under it, and
Mm,
that means that you have
that's,
miles and miles and miles
uh,
of rock on top of you, and that can add to it because you can
yeah,
have unlimited amount of dungeon levels both up and
sure.
down if you go to. So
Well,
that's
when you've
really
already
cool.
like had a ring of colorless fire and then an invoke devastation, what's a tunnel?
Yeah,
No
yeah,
big deal.
so those are the really cool. And then the other area in the crystal mists is this area here, and there you have some really cool, some named ones. You have the Mount Jebelbutt. I don't think it's one of
Huh?
the it's part of from the Living Greyhawk thing when
Oh,
they
living ground.
dug. Yeah, and this one is named because it's close to the Sultanate of Arir, not because I think
Mm.
it's one of the highest peaks, but it's one of these. If you look at it geographically, it's one of the widest areas of mountains. So, and then you have the Mount Grimald, and now we're looking at my campaign map. So there might be a few of these locations that are not, and then you have some of these areas that are mentioned in. Now we're into the hill giant and giant country here. So we
Mm.
have
Mhm, mhm.
these Bald Mountain and Mount Rungirheim. It's kind of Rugnirheim. That's kind of cool. Now that sounds very Nordic to me, Scandinavian.
Quick, guys, spam the chat before Anna sees that new topic.
Uh oh.
Anyhow, wouldn't you think that Mordenkainen would like be egotistical enough to put his castle on like one of the highest mountains in the
that
whole area?
that I think, and then we have the Yachils is a good spot for it. So yeah, so there is a number of peaks here that are possible. We have in the south here is kind of busy. One of the major peak, we have an enormous massive here. This whole area here is a candidate for really really high mountains, and this is a fantasy world, so they can kind of jet up
Uh,
even further than others. And the other good candidate area is this here, just north of the
Hmm.
Taristun.
Your maps, do you have any kind of elevation guide here? Because
No, I don't
it's
really
all
have that.
color
The
animated.
problem is that I can go into Bryce, but it's kind of screwed up because I have done so much editing afterwards. So that's one of the things that when I go in and map each of these areas, there's a lot of these consideration because then I can actually set the elevation of the mountains. So then it becomes down to nail down, and then we have to have an episode where we kind of babble and chat need to tell us which mountain is actually taller than the other, and we can go in because I need to map these ranges in full glory in a few years to come. So yeah.
That's pretty scandalous, Ryan Glade. Don't even want to get into that soap opera type
Uh-oh.
topic.
Okay, so we not mentioned it. I'm not looking at chat. I'm holding up
No,
my hands so I can't see it here.
they're talking about why Morty would want to live in the Etzel Mountains.
Oh, okay. But one of these most basic questions, if you want to put your castle that high, is the air
Yeah.
getting thinner on Earth
Mm,
or is not? Or not? So do you need spells just to be able to breathe so you make an air bubble around your castle? Or it
maybe.
could be cooler that I had a fantasy idea that actually you get closer and closer to the plane of air so you can breathe indefinitely up until you reach some sort of space out there or something. I don't know, but it's yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So
Uh,
these are the practical things that I was
Along
thinking.
that
Yeah.
lines of talking about his castle, I think it would be also fun to talk about Dramage's fortress under the water.
Oh yeah, that one I've actually mapped.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
I
down
didn't know
here.
that.
It's here. It's
It's near Keeland.
yep, it's here. I put it here. So I put it in one of the deep areas here. So yeah, it's you have Gradsul here and down there.
What depth do you have that at?
Probably about now I need to go to the new legend. Hang on a second here. We need to go here and
That's one of the things I always like about those Darlene maps is the
yeah.
ocean depths
It's
and
yeah, it's about
like
3,000, 2,000 feet, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty. Yeah, there's probably mountains higher than the coastal depths, but then
yeah.
when you get into the middle of the Azure, it's just like it's
It's
deeper than even anywhere
indefinitely
on Earth.
unknown deep, and yeah, and then you have to
Yeah.
have the hollow Earth theory, meaning do the oceans go
Wow.
into, and yeah, so you can make
Yeah.
it fantasy, whatever. So yep, so there is a lot of cool things you can add if you want to. Okay, so now yep. So I'm not looking at chat, so in case there's yeah. So
Uh,
you're
Now
the
they're just kind of they're rambling, but yeah,
okay.
Drama is one of my favorites. Also,
Mm-hmm.
very Captain Nemo.
Yep.
I've
Yep.
used them a couple times in my campaigns.
Yeah, I've stayed away from underwater adventures as much as I can. So, yeah. But that's something we could have an episode about in future
It's a
underwater.
rabbit hole for certain because
Yeah.
once you try to like inject a little bit of realism to
Yeah.
underwater
Or D&D physics
stuff,
debate will go run
yeah, and
wild if you run
then
underwater
when you start
adventures.
researching the map and you're thinking, crap, this place is really deep.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know, it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, okay. So this is yeah, so this has been the Halloween episode of
Yeah.
Legends and Lore. So I'm again sorry that we didn't have the cool Halloween decorations. We didn't have time to redecorate. So, but the hang on a second.
Well, maybe one of these days I'll dress up or something to make up for it on one of our other shows. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yep.
But yeah, good turnout. We had a lot of good interaction
Oh
with
yes,
chat.
lots of questions, and I there was even so many good questions that I stayed away from it. And we've solved some of the mapping mysteries that didn't turn out to not be mysteries,
Hmm.
and found a couple of locations that I need to put on my map. So that's always wonderful. So
We
yeah.
got the Gen Con roaming block to think about.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. Yep. And all the other shows, and hopefully we can see that we make sure that we will have a steady talking point every time about what's happened the past week in all the other shows. Dark
yeah,
Chateau. That's okay. That's an interesting one. I've never heard of that one.
that's Gary's Castles and Crusades
Oh, okay.
version of
Ah,
um,
okay.
Greyhawk and all that,
Uh-huh.
I believe.
Maybe we can put it in as an alternate name or something like that. We'll see. Yep.
That's my guess at any rate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's all I have for now. I don't know what our next week's topic is going to be yet.
Yeah, that's something we have to. It was this one. Spookiness was kind of a given, so we'll see what we dig into next week. Yep.
Yeah, because now we're going to be getting into November. We might start getting into having guests on the show.
That's yeah. We have
Um,
at least two guests that are planned so
mhm,
far, and and
mhm.
and more in the making. And once we
I got,
sorted out the technical stuff, which I hope that Shane can help us with the
yeah.
last bit of that, then we can get that up and running.
Gary wants religion.
Okay.
No, not politics. Ooh, Thanksgiving. There you go, Ryan Gillade.
We have to have the festivals. We have to have when we get into the holiday season, we need to
Festivals.
have Need Fest
Hmm.
and so on.
I
So
know
yeah,
a thing or two about Need Fest.
yep, yep. So the festivals are an obvious. We have to once every season we have to talk about one of the festivals or something like that. And we haven't decided how many episodes, but probably about 10 or so. No more than 10 per season, and then we will have a little bit of a break. So we have to get our material in order
Can't do it
again.
all,
Yep.
but
But politics have to
I
wait
had a lot
until
of fun.
after the election at least. So yeah,
Yeah, maybe so.
yep,
Now, politics in Grok would be sort of interesting, but we'd have to pick a time period.
yeah, and we
That's
also have to pick an area. We can talk about IU's
yeah,
and his
yeah.
ideas, or something like that. So yeah,
My favorite would be Greyhawk City politics.
that sounds cool. How do they elect a mayor, and who do you need to bribe in order to become mayor of Greyhawk? That
Hmm.
is kind of cool. Which one will actually vote or participate in the process? Which guilds and churches and other things? That's a we have to talk about the city itself, and then we can dig into that. Yeah, that's a big one.
Let's see.
Oh,
Do
I
you
have
have
one.
any?
Does if I do any city level maps? Yes, I've done a couple of city level maps.
Really?
Yeah, and I've done one for the Per Bastet for Midgard. That's my only city map that I have done for publication. The other ones I've poked around for my own campaign use, and I've also started before I even started my Flanese map. I started work on the city of Greyhawk. So I have a number of cool sketches and stuff. And I'm going to, and the problem is that those sketches are full of Swedish scribblings. So they need to be edited and brought up to and cleared up of my 16, 17, 18-year-old scribblings when I was that
Hmm.
age or 20 or something like that.
Wow.
So they're age old, but they are from, and the Gord books came out and I redid the whole thing, and so I read it back and forth and did it. So that is
Nice.
some of the thing, because we need to talk about the city of Greyhawk, and my patrons will be the first one to see these kind of sketches and the touch-ups. And I did a sketchy map of Devon for my Devon campaign, and that's something that I touched up a few of the sketches and gave to my patrons. And in the future, there will be a even better version out for everyone to have in the future. First, my patrons and the other ones. So my plan is, and there I have Linda Booth to be a partner in crime in that, is to move in to do city mapping. But before I could put in a major of time into it, I want to redo the Flannies again. So it will probably take 5 years or three
There's
years.
only one person.
Exactly, yeah. But city mapping, there will be at least one other person involved in this that it will be a partner in crime. And I have a couple of other people that are in the works of helping me. And depending on how much patron support, it's going really well. So I was thinking it would take 8 years to get all this done, but now I can actually work as regular commission on Greyhawk stuff. So it's getting good. I can devote time every week to do this, and it's fantastic. Yep. So thanks again to all my patrons. Okay, which version? And that's interesting. And we need to have a whole episode on the two versions of Greyhawk. My version is the Gary's from the Gord books, not from the
Really?
not the TSR version. I love Gary's
Um,
version. Yes, and I've had this discussion numerous times with very distinguished people, including Dennis Tetro, that did some of the extra maps and for the Living Grey.
Melcott.com.
Yes, exactly. And he has the TSR version, and those maps are fantastic, very detailed. But that's not the Greyhawk I've run in my campaign. I've used the Gary's version in the his later books. So that's a whole thing. Yep.
I'm a fan of the TSR version only because of that cool isometric drawing,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful artwork of the
Yep.
city.
Yep. With the
I would
houses,
just look.
buildings, and stuff. Yep.
I could spend all day just looking at that,
Yep.
that
It's yeah.
map.
I totally agree. That's one of the best art produced for Greyhawk. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It
So
was totally unnecessary. That's what amazes me about it is that, you have a
it's
map,
yep.
and then someone drew the actual map over the top of that,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
think they
totally
did one
unnecessary.
for Waterdeep a couple of years, or that was so
Ah,
popular. I'm not sure if which one came out first, but I think
mm,
they're done by the same artist. And
okay.
whatever the one was, whoever came out first was so successful and popular apparently, so they did the whole skim again. But I'm not sure which one came out first. But the it was done for both. Yeah, map fight. That was yes. And I intend to win every map fight, but this one might be a map fight that I actually lose. We'll see. Yeah.
Speaking of Waterdeep, have you ever played the board game Lords of Waterdeep?
No, I haven't. I've only
Me and my
seen the
friends
game Gen
love
Con
that
being
game.
played. Yeah, I looked at the table for half an hour
It's
at
such a
Gen Con.
fun game.
Yeah, it looked
And
awesome.
if I had all the free time in the world, I would love to adapt that game to the city of Greyhawk.
Oh, please do. Please do.
No, I don't. I
You
just don't
run
have
it. You
time for
run a
it. But
Patreon.
it's such
Come
a good
on,
game.
just do you do? I
You just
refocus my
gotta.
Patreon. Now you refocus your Patreon and come on here.
All you'd have to do is draw the map
Yeah.
onto a board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just would have to maybe redo the cards
Yeah, I would say the event cards are they
and
tied to
kind of.
Waterdeep, so they are kind of
But everything else, all the playing pieces and junk, I think
yeah.
it would
Yeah.
translate
Okay.
directly.
Yeah, you can use the pawns and
Yeah,
the stuff. Yeah.
such a good game.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yep.
Hmm.
Okay, we
Uh,
covered more than what we set out to, but that's what I love about. We have lots
oh
of
yeah,
tangents in
yeah.
this show. So yep. Rel Astra.
Well,
Yeah. I won't have Rel Devon too. I want to have City of Greyhawk, Rel
well, you
Devon,
got to
and
use Greyhawk because the board game involves factions and all these
mm-hmm.
named NPCs, and
Yeah.
only the city of Greyhawk has the material
Yeah, you have to
to
invent
do
it.
a
If
board
you
game.
want to use can base it on canon material,
Yeah,
then Greyhawk is the best candidate, definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Now we've been
I'm
an hour and 50
out of
minutes.
steam.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
losing my voice.
yep. That this is perfect. So thank you so much, everyone who watched, and thank you so much for all
Realm
the
words for nerds.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for everyone for showing up. We had a great turnout.
Yep, and wonderful questions and all that. That's fantastic. And with a bit of luck, we can be a lot of Greyhawkers at Gen Con next year. So look
I'm
into
excited.
to that Greyhawk B&B thing. That sounds awesome. So yeah. So thank you so much, and I hope that you will tune in next week. So thank you.
See you around, guys.